Thank you.
Well, they always restate part of the.
Did that.
Go on.
No. There's foods there, I had part of that, something, stuff, people.
Working right on time.
We need to order. You're able. You rise and pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's 6 o'clock. We're gonna call our first item, the consent agendas. Is there anything on the consent agenda that any of you would like removed?
Yes.
You have something on the consent agenda to remove.
Yes,
Which
the
one?
payroll warrant and the accounts payable warrant. For, July 7th is on
The account payable for July 7th.
here. I mean, they all have, I have a question about it, they all have it on it, so
I probably won't have an answer.
I'll get the simple question.
So do you have no questions for the June items?
I mean, it's about the same, but what I have a question about is on all of them.
Oh, I see what you're
So-
saying. I thought you meant the July, okay,
One of them is fine, but all of them are whatever, it's the same.
okay.
So, just question for going forward, if you move the consent agenda, wouldn't you have, wouldn't we be able to ask questions on those items? No? Okay.
Once you do the consent agenda, that's the whole purpose of it, it's just that we move it along.
Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda minus A and B?
So moved.
Second. Okay, all in favor, say yes, or raise your hand. 5 approved. All right, so let's go back up to payroll warrants. Can I get a motion to approve the payroll warrants?
Motion to approve payroll warrants of June 19, June 26, and June 30, 2026.
Second, great. Open for discussion?
Okay, my question is simple, I wish we had a key that we could compare to, so we know what everybody's being paid for and what. So that when we look at it, we know the numbers we're seeing are correct, but the only one that I saw that I am familiar with is our salary, and I'm just curious why Sarah and Elisa are being paid at $225. I understood we're all supposed to be paid $200 a month, so you
No,
guys.
the chair gets extra, and I told them the last time that they needed to.
That was split because she had one meeting and she had one meeting. So that will change on the next payroll.
Okay,
Yeah.
and also where is that, ordered, well, I looked for it in our procedures and the ordinance, where does it say what our salary amounts are?
That's just set by you.
That's what,
It's set by you.
but it should be written somewhere, right? Like a policy or operating procedure.
Agreement.
I suppose we can add it to the board procedures, but I mean, it's always free for a year.
So it's just like knowledge that passed down from payroll person to payroll person.
Yeah.
Okay,
Those usually set at budget time. I've always increased the stipends for you guys every year at budget time, and every year at budget time, and some of you don't want any more. So you don't get any more.
all right, so it's in the budget.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
I can say that the first time I went on the board of selectmen, I think was in 2009, and I believe it's paying the same amount now as it did then.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
No.
We'll close our comment period for that. Can I get all the yeses, raise your hand. Approved, 5-0. And then we'll take accounts payable warrants. Can I get a motion to approve those?
Motion to approve the accounts payable warrants for June 23rd, 2026, June 30th, 2026, and July 7th, 2026.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comments on this one?
Yeah, I was just wondering where it says community solar platform. What does that mean?
That's the power that we buy from the, solar farm.
At the airport?
No, in Bucksport,
Okay, all right,
we're part of the like thing.
okay, gotcha, thank you.
No further questions?
None?
So all in favor? 5 unanimous? All approved? Okay. We can go to the public hearing on our sewer rate increase.
Motion to open the public hearing.
All in favor? Unanimous? Okay, so the public hearing for the sewer rate increase is now open.
Any comments from the public?
Yes.
Am I allowed to comment? I'm Rob from the sewer department. I didn't know if I'm allowed to speak or not, but like.
Sure.
Okay. I'm Rob from the sewer department, and I only have one issue with the rates that are proposed. And that is, you may be familiar with the non-metered charge, which we charge to basically penalize someone if you don't have a water meter to record your consumption, which is what the sewage rate is based on. And we've had some customers who have maybe skated by for a number of years because they refused to have a meter put in and refused to allow anyone on the property. And so I'm thrilled to see that the non-metered charge was going to go up quarterly from $446.16 to $892.32, which is doubling it. And I'm hoping that you won't think that that's too high. I would love it if it was 900, because if someone looked and saw, oh, 900, I'm immediately going to get my water meter installed. But I hope that you're not too afraid to push that one through, because if we do have that high rate, I think that that could eliminate the handful of people who refuse flat out to have a water meter installed. The DEP wants every drop basically traced, and they don't want us letting someone go long-term without having a knowledge of their consumption. In addition, if having a water meter on there, you could find out if you had a leak. Suddenly you have a high, bill. So anyway, I would just urge the board to really consider that we need that high rate on the non-metered. So I don't know if you had seen that and questioned it, but I just was hoping that you guys would follow through and allow that to go through. So,
And this is for people who have well water.
correct, and
Right. I'm
everyone,
just clarifying for the crowd.
Oh, yes.
If this is for people with well water, we had the
Yes.
same situation at our house. We had to have a separate meter installed, and then we finally just separated it completely.
okay, but it's for people who, they're getting billed the non-metered rate. And really by rights, we shouldn't have anyone getting the non-metered rate. The DEP wants you to track all of the consumption, and they want you to base their billing on the consumption. So anyway, thank you for letting me say that.
We have any, yes,
If I could, add to Rob, and I think I explained this in my manager's report, sometimes I forget what I put in there. If this doesn't, if this high rate doesn't work, we do have another option. Because everybody is required by ordinance to have an approved water meter. And if they don't, it's a violation of the ordinance. And our ordinances do allow for $100 a day fine for anybody who is in non-compliance. So if this isn't enough to get them in compliance, perhaps a $3,000 a month bill would be enough to get them to come into compliance. So that is a backup option.
Elisa,
yes,
can I speak?
yes.
Okay, I'm just wondering if some more education for the people who are not running meters on their homes. I don't know if they don't realize that, you know, if you have a second line that's your outside water, that's not metered, so. So you're not paying for things that you're watering the lawn, you're only paying for what's going through the sewer
Right.
system. So I wonder if, you know, people who are watering lawns and things like that this time of year, or for whatever reason, if they understood how the meters worked. So I don't know if we could put it out on the town's website or something like
I
that.
can do something like that, that's a totally separate issue for watering lawns and, you know,
Yeah.
filling pools and
But
things like that.
I think people are afraid that, and I don't necessarily know that people who are on the sewer and are paying the unmetered rate, if they understand the difference between that rate and the metered rate.
I can tell you the 7 individuals that this pertains to know very well what they're doing.
Oh, okay. All right, just a concern to make sure.
Rob has been dealing with this since he's been here,
Sorry, Rob.
trying to get them to come around.
Okay.
And this is kind of the nuclear option, but sometimes that's what you.
Okay.
I, one other quick question, which is when the sewer rate increase takes effect, is it
August 1st.
August 1st? Okay.
Yes.
Rob was reading some different numbers than you've got, or what I've got. The new total would be $915.48 for a non-metered charge.
So you guys may have, so the initial rate sheet that I put out was incorrect. It had proposed 2025 rates on it.
Oh,
That we never initiated, so I had to go back, and so it's a little less than what, and I probably just didn't update your stuff, so.
So it's the 9:15.
So it's under 900.
No, so it's, there's actually.
I just wanna make sure that, for the record, we've approved the right document. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you.
That's pretty close. Yeah.
So this is the option to support nuclear option.
Yes.
So do we have any further comments on this item? So then let's bring the.
Move to close the,
Thank you.
move to close the public hearing.
Second. All in favor of closing? 5 unanimous. So at this time, we'd like to approve the rates as on the piece of paper.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of approving the new sewer rates effective August 1st? 5 yes. Okay. Move on to our next item, which is a liquor license renewal, so may I get a motion to open the public hearing on the liquor license renewal of Ship Shapes?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Any public comments on Ship Shapes liquor license, also known as Sea Basket? Up on Bath Road? No public comments? Okay, can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second, all in favor? 5 yeses. And
Motion to approve the liquor license renewal for Ship Shape 2 LLC doing business as Seabasket located at 303 Bath Road.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments at this point? No. All in favor? 5 unanimous. Okay, at this time, we have the public comment section of our hearing. We ask that each person limit themselves to 5 minutes per person when you come up, so that the speaker can get you. For anybody online, please state your name and the town you live in, assuming it's Wisconsin. Yes. Sure.
Steve Christensen, Wiscasset.
Sure.
Thank you. Simple comment. Saturday night with the fireworks. Probably the shittiest fireworks I've ever seen. Excuse the blunt language, but they're pathetic. I don't know how much money we spent for that. It lasted 13 minutes or so. I wouldn't pay them.
I've had, actually, yeah, I've had,
Yeah.
quite a few comments on that, for this year, and, I too was very disappointed. And I reached out to them to, express my disappointment and see how we're going to rectify this situation.
Yeah,
Especially in light of the 250.
that's where I was headed with this.
We were, as you know, they're right in front of our house, so.
Yep.
That I share that sentiment, and a lot of other people do as well, so I am working.
I just thought that it should be just mentioned, it's a comment, it was pathetic showing, and, I'm done,
I agree.
thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments from anybody? Yes, Marty?
Yeah, I'd like to just, put it on the record that I sent the select board,
Name it.
Marty Clark from Wisconsin. That I sent the select board the video of, the county into, TV. Of an interview with Julia Tilton from the Yonder, newsletter, whatever. She had an article about the AI data center. And that was basically twofold. One, what the main thing of my concern was they brought up the transparency issue of the data center, that the town was not being transparent. So one of the things that actually bugged me, I wasn't here for that meeting, but the select board voted to not bring up the subject at any of the select board meetings. And I think that in itself limits transparency. So I propose, am I incorrect? What I said? Or-
We never voted to not talk about the data center in meetings.
So what was the vote about?
Are you talking about the one to halt any consideration of any development proposals before there was a subcommittee that figured out what the process would be?
That was just about for any proposals?
That's what we voted, is to have a subcommittee to look at the property and look at proposals, and the board would not consider things until they were investigated. So if you go back in time and look at that meeting, that's what we said.
Okay.
Yeah,
But anyway, the other issue is that there is no, there hasn't been any report of what the status is of the proposal, or I should say the non-disclosure agreement. Am I wrong there also?
So one of the things,
Talking about that later.
so one of the rules is that we don't talk about things in public comment that are going to be addressed later in the meeting, because that's the appropriate time. And that is an item on the agenda, so we would request that wait.
What's on the agenda, only addresses the redaction of the NDA and not what I'm asking for. So I could bring up anything regarding the AI data center during that subject. I'll be glad to.
So we're gonna be talking about the documents for the data center and by relation, the NDA as that item.
Okay, well, I'm asking, what is the status of that interested party. Are they gonna go forth with a proposal? Are you gonna, the NDA ends in August? Is the select board going to renew that or? You probably haven't thought of it right now, but I think that should be made public. Are they asking for a renewal? Those are questions that I have.
So we don't respond during public comment to questions. So you may say your comments.
Okay. So my comment is I'd like to see the select board be more open, with, transparency. And that's a big issue, and I believe that, I don't know how many people watch that video, but, it's not really a good feather in the cap for, Wiscasset, for sure. So, I'd like to see more transparency. That's basically it.
Thank you. Do we have any further public comments from our public tonight? Seeing none, how about the select board? None. Let's bring that session to a close.
Move to close public hearing.
Oh, we don't know.
Oh, sorry.
We're
Sorry.
just moving, we're just closing.
Public comment, sorry.
Casually closing.
Yeah.
So let's go to our new business items. Our first item is to set the date for the school budget meeting and approval of the 27 school budget. Can I get a motion?
I move to set the July 23rd, 2026 for the school budget meeting and approve the funding year 27 school budget warrant as recommended by the Wiscasset School Committee.
Second,
Any comments?
I just want to note for the record that because there's just been questions about this, our vote to put this on a warrant does not mean we as a board or individually support or don't support the school budget. This is our job to put it on a warrant so that it can move forward. So
That's correct.
Kind of help answer that question. This would be the same thing as like when the school committee meets in the gym and everybody holds up their cards and votes on each item. This is the sort of the repeat of that, right?
correct, that's what the July one is, yeah,
Yes.
step one.
Any other select board comments? Yeah,
That was my question, that the 23rd is when the vote is at the school. Another date will be the date.
that's correct.
Got it.
Any other public comment on this section? Questions? All right. Seeing none, all in favor? 5-0. So the second item, B, we need a motion to approve a municipal officer's order to set questions on secret ballot September 1st. That will be a regular vote.
Move to approve the municipal officer's order to place questions on the ballot for a secret ballot referendum September 1st, 2026.
Second,
Any comments from our select board?
I would like
Yes.
to ask for a change, a small bit of the language here. In the second paragraph under 3 and 4, where we authorize and delegate the town manager and chair. I would like to change that to the town manager and the full select board.
Statutorily, you cannot. That is language that is provided by statute. And no changes can be made to it.
All right.
Actually, I don't make up this. It comes from the town's bond council. That makes up the question, so
So we can't change any of the language in here,
only the numbers.
only the number.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we gonna get? Or I should say, how will we be informed when these events take place?
There'll be other documents that, there'll be documents that we'll have to sign, but there'll have to be a final approval at some point.
Okay, and we'll be informed as those documents come up in your file. Okay.
And this is a bond that money that will not be drawn on necessarily, but it's there, we need it. Any other questions or comments?
So this is step 2 for the school budget.
Yeah.
Included.
Yes. Okay, all in favor? 5-0. Move on to the next one. So we'll set a date for a special town warrant to approve a special town meeting on the 1st. Can I get a motion?
Move to approve a special town meeting warrant for September 1st, 2026.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, any comments on this one? Okay, seeing no comments. All in favor? 5-0. Thank you. So the school revolving renovation fund resolution,
Move that the resolution entitled Resolution to Authorize $793,311 School Revolving Renovation Fund Financing be approved in form presented to this meeting, and that the clerk file an attested copy of said resolution with the meeting minutes of this meeting.
Second.
I didn't make it.
Yeah, thanks.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any comments or questions?
I second it, yes.
Yes. We have any comments, questions? Seeing none, all in favor? 5-0, approved. So we have a sewer abatement. And do we have any questions on that item? I'm pulling it up here. Do we have a question on that? So as we used to have, names attached to them, but because of privacy concerns, et cetera, we no longer have the names on the documents. So we just have the amount. And staff has reviewed it all. And they've recommended we approve it. Can I get a motion on this?
I'll make a motion to approve the abatement request from ID 384 in the amount of $227.56.
Second.
Do we have any comments at this time? Questions? Okay. All in favor? Yes, 5-0. Approved. Go to approve the final contract for the sale of tax acquired property. Can I get a motion on that?
Motion to approve a quitclaim deed for 105 Sheepscot Road, map R05 lot 120, and authorize the town manager to execute a purchase and sale agreement and any other documents necessary to complete the conveyance, subject to review and approval by the town attorney.
Second.
Do we have any questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Approved. Okay, we have an applicant agreement to comply with the clean water revolving fund requirement. That one. A lot of documents today.
So just to clarify, Ms. Fine, I think we have to discuss it in my time here. This is a second 10 million low interest clean water state revolving loan fund financing. And this is sort of different than the one we just voted on.
I'm sorry, the door was, I didn't hear the last few sentences.
It was in addition to the one we just
Oh, yes,
voted
okay.
on moving forward.
What is the motion needed here?
I'm still opening the document. Oh, thank you. I can make a motion. I make a motion to approve the applicant agreement to comply with the 2026 Clean Water State Revolving Fund requirements.
Second.
we have any further or additional comments? All in favor? 5-0. So we have a bill of sale to Brett Lindsay. Can I get a motion for it?
Make a motion to execute the bill of sale for Red Lindsay map R04 lot 10A33.
Second,
Okay, so this is, rather than a quick claim, which is for real estate, this is for a structure which takes a bill of sale, in case anybody's wondering why it's titled slightly differently. Do we have any other questions, comments? Seeing none? All in favor? 5-0 approved. So we have a legislative policy committee ballot, the Maine Municipal Legislative Association. Pam Dunning has agreed to run for a position there. And we need to recommend her.
You know, I would vote for,
you want? Rachel made me, he didn't.
Thank you.
I lobbied that one for you.
So can I get a motion?
A motion to vote for Pam Dunning for
Yes.
the Maine Municipal Association's Legislative Policy Committee.
Thank you. Second, I second that.
Question about this.
Yes.
I wasn't quite sure how this process works. Do we just vote on forwarding Pam? Are we also discussing a second candidate?
it says you can vote for two, so if you have an alternative, you certainly can. discuss that.
So there are a certain number of LPC members for each district in the state. Make sure this entire state is covered and, the Legislative Policy Committee, lobbies municipal laws, so.
Okay. So we could then vote on a second person too,
It's,
Yes, yes.
as long as they're on the ballot.
as long as they're on the ballot, which we have a request.
Well, and we could write in someone, but that might be,
Chances of them being.
yes, that might be counterproductive, but yes, yes.
So I want to ask to clarify, you were appointed to the LPC a few weeks ago, so what is this? Is this a role within the LPC that you're wanting to do?
She was nominated as our candidate, correct?
Yes.
Correct, yeah, I was
So-
nominated as a candidate for District 13.
I see.
Yeah, this is actually voting to put me back in that seat.
Okay.
Yes. Call me crazy, but I find lobbying law, fun.
No, I did that job too, and I really
I'm very
enjoyed it.
weird, I know.
With Cassie, I would like to add Daniel Hunter to our ballot. I looked into these other candidates and didn't find any information on Kate and found general information on Thor, but I found on Daniel Hunter a statement that he put together when he was running for the select board, which I thought I read and I liked. I thought he had good ideas and good values. So I put him on there as well. Daniel Hunter.
I agree, that was the other candidate that I also supported putting on our ballot.
So should we vote one candidate at a time?
Let's do one at a time, just because we have the motion ready to go on Pam. So let's,
You have an open motion.
do we have any, yeah, because it's an open motion on that one. Do we have any further comments on this motion? All in favor? 5-0. Excellent. So now can I get a motion to do anybody else?
I moved to also vote for Daniel Hunter for the Maine Municipal Association Legislative Policy Committee.
Second,
Second, okay. Comments? So we have, and y'all have access also to kind of candidate profiles, and that's what we're all looking at. Okay, no further comments? All in favor? Sure. 5-0, move along. So our next item is a request to create an ad hoc committee to assist in public engagement for the wastewater treatment plant relocation. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so discussion. Cassie, this was,
This is my proposal, yes, so I have a few words to say. So transparency and clear communication with our entire community about the relocation of the wastewater treatment plant are critical to ensure that there's broad support and understanding for this major investment in services. And I'd like to propose that we create a group or an ad hoc committee to support public engagement on the wastewater treatment plant relocation, with goals of increasing education on wastewater treatment and the reasons for the relocation, ensuring that all perspectives are heard in this process, and supporting public buy-in for the ultimate selection of the relocation site. And so for the membership of this group, I'm proposing something a little bit different than our usual committee model. I'm proposing that we mimic the stakeholder representation model that the state of Maine has used very successfully for major planning initiatives, such as the Infrastructure Rebuilding and Resilience Commission and the Maine Climate Council. And so the members of those commissions are selected with for relevant expertise as well as specific perspectives that they can bring to making recommendations and reaching out to different communities. We've talked a lot about how challenging it is to reach all members of our communities. And so I think having a representative membership model of this group could be one way to ensure that we reach those different segments of our community. And so I'm happy in a follow-up to share a link to the Infrastructure Rebuilding and Resilience Commission, which has its membership really well laid out. But they had experts in hazard mitigation, climate science, infrastructure planning, financing, as well as representatives from state, town, regional government, economic and community development, and people disproportionately affected by storms. So all that is to say, representatives with specific perspectives and expertise came together in this group. And I think that kind of model could work really, really well for this group that I'm proposing. And so also Wiscasset has a lot of very engaged residents with relevant perspectives and expertise that I think we can tap into to support this effort, who've expressed interest in doing so. So for this specific ad hoc committee, I'd like to propose that the membership include 1 or 2 interested select board members to make sure that we have visibility and engagement. Representatives from our existing town committees, specifically Waterfront Climate Action Team and Economic Development, who have been engaged in this effort. I will note that Jim Crowley and Grace Green of WCAT have already expressed interest in assisting with public outreach on the relocation. So we have a couple, I think, of likely folks who would step up. I'd like to propose having a representative of somebody living within the service area of the treatment plant, as well as somebody not living in the service area of the treatment plant. A representative of Wiscasset's youth, and that is our youth are going to be, worrying about this and probably also paying for it long into the future. I think that's a really important perspective. A local business within the treatment plant service area, because our businesses also use these services and are really impacted. And then if available, having folks with expertise in wastewater treatment, infrastructure planning, or finance would be great to get, but I'm not quite sure if we'll get those folks. And then of course, town staff participation from our wastewater treatment plant department. I don't want this to be a huge group. I think multiple people can wear the same, or the same person can wear multiple hats, but I think it would be really helpful to aim for participation with those perspectives and expertise. So that's my proposal.
Yes, please, go ahead.
I'm very much in favor of this, and I was gonna mention that Jim had already reached out to us, and he's definitely qualifies as an expert, I would say. So I think this can only help, and I would just say that I think it would be good just to put in there that they would report back periodically to the select board, partially just to coordinate with any kind of outreach that other committees are doing and that kind of thing. It's a good idea.
I guess my only concern is the number of people, but then if we're saying that various people wear multiple hats, that reassures me because we already have a hard time getting committees, getting a forum when we have a committee, et cetera. And so, yes,
Exactly. I didn't want to propose something that was way out of left field. I think we've already had some of these volunteers who, you know, like Jim, sorry, you really were in mind. I think you will wear 3 hats. But yeah, I've tried it with enough folks in the last couple of months who I think are really interested and have showed up here, and I think we can tap into that existing interest and network. But I love the idea of having them report very regularly directly to the select board.
yes, Pam.
So I got from the people that Cassie was listening, or the areas of expertise that she was looking, I've got 6 members. So I guess before I would vote for this, I'd like to see something that had the number of members. I'd like to see that written out and approve it, rather than approve to do a committee and then figure it out after. Or, you know, if we're gonna say 6 members, 7 members, I think an odd number is better than evens, because even in committees, you want an odd number of votes. But, you know, how often would they repeat back to the selectmen and that kind of thing? I'd like to see that kind of outline first.
Sarah?
It might be good just to do like a paragraph of what the goal of the committee is, and then lay out, it'll consist of this, you know,
Right.
something short.
Yeah, because you just did it verbally, but to have it in writing so that we can approve it in writing, and then it's pretty clear from the beginning. Because I have seen some committees formed in the past that they very quickly go sideways.
I think strong chairmanship leadership will be really key, and I would love to see that come from the select board.
Right.
I think you can use like as an example of that, when we put together the ad hoc economic development committee. There's pretty much a 1-pager, maybe it's 1.5, but it kind of lays out the goals and the tasks and the scope. And that's a good way to look at it.
And I think if you have the committee members and then have a selectman who's liaison to that committee rather than a member of the committee.
Yeah.
Because it's actually the majority of committees in town, that's actually how those are run.
So that is the structure.
Yeah, I think that's more in the norm of what most of our committees are, isn't it?
Yeah.
So instead of having a selectman on the committee itself be the liaison to that committee. I mean, just keeping a standard, semi-standardized structure so that we're not getting committees in 20 different forms. Yeah.
Yes.
Since we're trying to be quick here, could we provisionally approve this and then have follow to approve the actual structure as Pam has described?
I mean, we could vote it next week.
I mean, you know, we can approve it.
Table it till the next meeting.
Yeah, I'm all in favor of it, it's just I'd like to see it in writing before I put my hand up.
Okay.
We just
Well,
have,
That's
I think everybody's objecting to it.
No, I
It's
just
not at all.
wanting to, but I wanna let Cassie and get on with putting it together and recruiting people, since we have to do this quickly.
Right.
So I don't wanna make her wait 2 weeks if we don't have to.
Well,
Well, it's not really
she
waiting.
doesn't have a proposal in writing that with structure that we can go through. We should do a great job of laying it out, but.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Right. And then
At the next meeting.
approve it the next meeting.
Yeah, and just one other thing is, people now know that this is going to be in place, they can we'll fill out an application to go on the committee before we vote for it. I mean, you can have your
Yeah.
application
You can
filled
still
out,
recruit.
drop it off, and vote that at the next meeting too. Right,
Just give me a chance to update the application online first.
well, that's,
It's not on there yet.
sorry.
Yeah, it's half written up already, so I can get that
There you
next
go.
meeting and have a list of potential candidates, I think.
Okay. So we have a motion on the table to approve this. But I would like to amend the motion.
So you have to vote it
Vote
yes.
it no.
Okay.
All in favor?
What is the motion at this point?
Oh, the motion was to approve a
The creation of.
ad hoc committee for the WWTP Power Communication Plan. All no? I forget exactly what I said the first time. All, or what you said the first time. All no? Five no's. Okay, I make a motion to,
Do we even need
I
a
didn't-
motion?
Yes.
Cass is just gonna bring it back. Yeah.
yes,
We'll
we'll
be
get
on the
that.
next-
We
yeah,
don't
we'll be
need
on the next-
to delay it or anything, so never mind that. Okay, our next item of business, we have an update from the Economic Development Director on housing and business development for 2026.
Good evening, I want to thank everybody, for attending and thank you, I think it was Heather that asked to have us on the agenda. I think this will answer some questions about that were already asked today.
You're gonna move it all on one side or the other.
Yeah.
No, it's.
No, I'm trying to-
doing that.
There may be, there you go.
All right, that's right. All right. So like the first slide here, just a representative of the last 2 years of new housing starts in the town of Wiscasset. So we looked at the permit data, and you can see here that there was in 2025, I mean, there was a little over $4.7 million in new housing that was constructed. And no, and then this year, this is a 6-month period, there was about 4.5 million in new housing value. Now, if you look at the permits issued during that same time period, last year, we had 16 permits in new houses and then 6 this year. So I think we're on track. There is a softening in the market, but I think we're on track to probably reach the same as last year. If you look at Islebrook right here, that was probably the biggest achievement this year, that Islebrook Village opened after much delay, and opened in March. There's 105 units in there. There's about 34% occupancy rate. Now that it's open, it should fill up a little bit quicker.
Eric, could you speak up a little bit?
Sure, thank you. Clark's Point, there's a subdivision being proposed right now. And basically what this is a proposed amendment to the existing subdivision for additional 50 new residential units in that existing subdivision. It's going before the planning board. You know, I don't know the status of it. It's just, they've had a pre-application meeting, I believe, and they plan on coming back shortly with an application, a formal application. 257 Bath Road is a mixed use, residential and commercial units, proposed, apartment complex. And it's right across the street from Birch Point Road on the Bath Road, Route 1. And it proposes 170 market rate apartments. They plan on putting some trails in the back. It's a lot of wetlands, so they plan on using some of the land that they can't really develop buildings and put structures on, is to make it more of like a park, you know, and with some trails. And they'll have a playground and some recreational space and one commercial unit. They are requesting a TIF. We don't have any details on that yet. We're working on that.
Could you spell that out for me? It's TIF.
It's a tax increment financing. Old Bath Road. There's two main parcels right there. They're owned by a gentleman, one landowner that we reached out to after, to see if we could help them find a way to develop that parcel for housing. It was prioritized in a site inventory, for affordable housing development, by the Lincoln County Regional Planning Commission. And, we requested, the Lincoln County Regional Planning Commission to include those parcels in a housing infrastructure study, to extend public sewer and water, down the property, down Bath Road. Right now, you can see right there, on one side of it, there's a sewer and water comes right about here. That's the pump station. Actually, sewer goes right up there. But we wanted to see if we can get sewer and water all the way down. What's that?
What? Well, the sewer already comes. The sewer, sorry, the sewer's on this end of the road.
Yeah, right.
I know, because
To
my house
extend
is
it.
there.
Right, it's to extend it
It's
further.
out that way, would it have to be the extension?
That's correct.
Alright.
Yeah, I know, but yeah.
That's part of that infrastructure study, that they're supposed to give us a report to tell us how much it costs. These proposed lots with these two parcels in question, that are owned by, a local fellow. He owns the, Page Avenue Apartments. And these two parcels, you add both of them, are about 60 acres, and you could get up to the, maybe 400 units on these parcels. But one of them right now, the larger parcel, 667A, is reserved for open space because of the Page Avenue Apartments, but we're kind of working with him to see if we can get that resolved, that issue resolved. The planning board will have to amend the Page Avenue, application that was approved many years ago.
What's the conflict on
Acreage per unit,
Yeah,
green space.
in order to get the density that they wanted in that Page Avenue apartment complex, they had to secure or reserve some land in open space. And so that's part of it, but now because of the new law, where the state is basically has ordered the towns to change their zoning in growth areas to allow, to encourage affordable housing development. And that will increase the density. And so that's kind of one of the reasons why I think this would be helpful. And this is a great location for affordable housing in general.
Are they requesting a TIF?
We haven't talked about tips on this property. Maine, we're part of the Maine. So I work with Backyard ADUs. It's a company that develops, accessory dwelling units. And, he received a grant in which they're gonna help prepare, a workbook. And we should begin that very shortly, actually, on helping landowners and, developers, find, educate them on how to develop an ADU. If you didn't know what an ADU is, it's basically, it's an opportunity in which, somebody could build like in their garage or like a little apartment in their garage, and, to rent out. It's great for like the senior market, if you want to stay in your home. But you can't necessarily afford it, so you might build an ADU, in your backyard. Or convert a portion of your house into this ADU. And then rent out the main portion of the house, for income. The planning board, ORC and the George, town planner. Has been working hard on ordinance updates. Basically, this is the law that I was telling you about. It's basically easing some of the restrictive zoning. Maine passed, LD 1829 in June 25. This law preempts local zoning that restricts residential density. It is intended to remove municipal zoning barriers to housing and production and increase housing supply statewide. Now, this is mainly focused on growth areas, that have public water and sewer. So what this says is essentially minimum lot sizes must be less than 5,000 square feet. So you, in that 5,000 square feet, you can put 4 units on that. So that's a huge change from, the 1 acre minimum, I think. Or 2 acres, depending on where you're removing. This also, removes parking minimums where we used to have, I believe our ordinance required 2, cars, per residential unit. And then the other part of this is increase the building height from 35 feet to 45, just in the village and commercial districts.
And quick question, do we have designated growth areas?
Yes, so in our comp land that, it spells it out, but it's the residential zone. If you look at our zone map, it's our village, business districts in the commercial zone.
Okay, and that's the 2018 comp plan or 2008 comp plan, so it's very, very old.
But then in the Lincoln County's housing study, have them,
That's in the Lincoln County Housing Study, they cited our growth district, and that's what our growth district is.
that's probably the easiest way to find it.
You said a minute ago about sewer and water.
Is that?
You said earlier sewer and water.
Yes.
The site has sewer and water that can get to it. Is that
Yeah,
what defines that zoning? Is that how the zoning, those areas are defined?
yes, so that's what the law was requiring, is that the towns that have the sewer and water and those growth districts, then that's where the development can happen because of that. So it's actually a good thing, you wouldn't want to see, these really dense lots out in the rural area of town. It's encouraging the development close to the transportation nodes and the growth centers, where the transportation is and access to public utilities.
Primarily along 1 and 27.
Yeah, I found it.
Yes, Kim?
Sorry for raising my hand right now, but it's specific to this. Are you saying that this growth area that that you can apply the new minimum lot size of 5,000 square feet is this Old Bath Road area, these two lots, because those on the
That's residential,
zoning map are rural, not residential.
those are residential.
I looked at the zoning map before I came here, they are rural. And they have a 1 acre minimum lot size, so going from 1 acre, which is 43,560 square feet. To a 5,000 square foot lot where you can put 4 units. Is an enormous change.
I would have to double check the map, but my understanding that is residential. I'm not saying you're wrong, but my understanding is that was in the residential zone. So,
The current map on the town website shows it as rural.
okay. I'll have to look it up.
And may I?
Yes, please.
I'm also curious as to. I do somewhat follow along and I saw when Clark's Point went to the planning board. I have not seen anything go to planning on 257 Bath Road or this property, these two lots on Old Bath Road. How far along are each of those?
There's still concepts, but the town staff has been spending time working with these people. So like this 257 Bath Road, the town staff has been working with the developer to bring this project forward. They have given us a conceptual drawings and so forth, and they've done a lot of work. They spent a lot of money on this. You know, they've hired architects and engineers and surveyors on that property, and they intend to bring it forward. One of the issues is our zoning. It's still not compliant with the new law. We still have plenty of time to be compliant with the new law, but this property itself. Anyways, so that's one issue. The other one, Old Bath Road, that the town staff, you know, me and George and Dennis have all been working closely in trying to encourage this landowner to do something with this lot. Because we believe that these parcels, because we believe that that they would be an ideal place for development.
So this one, you're just, it's
Well, I mean,
something you're hoping will.
there's been some seeds, like we've been talking to the landowner and the broker. And they have a developer in mind, and there might be some pre-application coming up here in August. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Yes, Marty?
So does the town have to change its ordinances to comply with the state law?
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm. And that's being worked in the ordinance committee, and then it'll go to planning, and then it'll hopefully will be on the November election.
Thank you.
New business?
Thank you.
Yeah.
You'll see here, on the slide, as the new business starts, and I have, for the last 3 years, there's been about the same amount of 16, 15, and then now 1.5 years. First 6 months of 2026 is about 10. So there's no reason to say that the next 10, next 6 months that we would get, another 5 or 6 months. Parker Chevrolet, you can see the progress going along on that. That's gonna add $8.3 million in new construction value to the town and create some jobs. That's exciting new development. Right here, this is the Energy Technology Innovation Partnership, what we call it ETIP. We're working with the National Laboratories of the Rockies to develop a strategic energy plan. And this will develop some energy related goals. We had a community workshop, I think it was in May, and we invited all of you to attend. And it was we got some good feedback on some goals, and, our steering committee is still working on flushing those goals out from the feedback that we got. And, I think there'll be a community workshop in August to flush out, and present those goals to the public, and hopefully, we'll have a plan, shortly thereafter.
What kind of goals?
Energy related, some basically like, we heard about, people were concerned about the power outages, in the power grid. So for example, like, we've had numerous power outages. So one of the goals is to help harden the distribution network, like, putting coated tree wire, working with CMP to put coated tree wire and some switches and things like that to help minimize. And also do some ground, to sky, tree cutting, within certain areas, that would help minimize the disruption in, power. That's one issue and one goal. Lisa can help me with this, she's been in some of the meetings. Anything from taking advantage of our underutilized energy infrastructure. There's a variety of different applications and different, businesses that might find that our Wisconsin attractive because of that energy infrastructure. And then there is things like setting goals potentially for, things like, I think the climate action team has talked a little bit about is, weatherizing some town buildings, lowering our energy costs through, weatherization and converting, moving away from potentially, fossil fuel, energy products, helping, residents understand, some of the opportunities out there, but that's one of the goals is maybe find a program or somebody to help educate people about the ways that they can save energy costs. And that was some of the goals that we've talked about. We'd love to hear more of your thoughts on that.
Is there like a fuller report or something? That's.
Not yet.
We can get sufficient.
Not yet.
It's underway, it's in the middle of being worked. So there's no report.
Okay.
Being on board to talk to you more and share what I have, but there's no family report at this moment that we're working on.
All right.
The community development block grant, we submitted and received, and we've gotten the okay to begin the process of, actually doing the work of the grant, for, the two businesses, Jody's and Roland Block Treats. This weekend, I just found out that Jody's Cafe is officially closed. It's disappointed. The state is aware of it, and I'm still trying to figure out what we'll do with that. We could still proceed with the treats project. There's no town money in this at all. The business itself has to provide the cash match, but the goal of this program is to eliminate blight. So if you go outside and look at the buildings in question, there's a lot of blight, meaning that there's potential red paint and peeling paint, and it needs to be, the buildings need to be weatherized. So that's what the project is being targeted for. The community development block grant for economic development, I just submitted a letter of intent. Actually, I did that last week. for this new company in town. They are located at 516 Gardner Road, Big House Warehouse up by, on Route 27. Zero Energy Homes is a Maine-based worker-owned cooperative. It manufactures affordable net zero energy panelized modular homes using sustainably sourced Maine and regional forest products. What they're trying to do there is trying to create affordable, energy efficient homes. And the grant is no match, but technically the match is that they have to create 3 jobs. So that's what that is. The Old Ferry Road, property. So some of the work that we've done here is actually, taken a lot of my time. The 3 years, almost 3 years I've been here. We've done a timber harvest on it that helped generate some revenue to pay for some of the work here. As I go over this, we just applied for a grant that covered the Brownfield Phase 1 site assessment. DEP paid for that study on the property. It yielded really no negative findings. There are just some rubble piles that somebody dumped material there 20 or 30 years ago. Most of it's been cleaned up, but they didn't find anything of significant value. We created a boundary survey. We had to do the boundary survey in part because of the timber harvest. We did not harvest trees on some else's property, but also it's a good development. Somebody said in a previous meeting here, it's good hygiene. So yes, it is good practice to put a boundary survey, understand what the boundaries are before you develop it. We also just completed a wetlands and vernal pool inventory on the property. Once again, it didn't yield to anything too significant. I'm still going over that. We just got the 250-page report, so hoping to find some time this week to go over that. Mapping and property deed. Now that we have the wetlands inventory, and the boundary survey and the site assessment, we're gonna update our maps, the boundary survey that we have, and then record it in the registry deed, and it's gonna include the wetlands and brownfield site assessment data. And then we'll also, now because it's a tax acquired property, we will have now we'll have an actual deed to the property. And that would be help make the property more marketable. We have an appraisal ongoing on the property. And that's necessary as part of the tax acquired property status. And this is all being paid for through the timber harvest. We think that the appraisal will probably be done in 2 months. And during that period of time, the seller's lien that we have, we'll be working on finalizing that RFP that we have issued for the development of houses. Birch Point. Being very clear that this is separate from the Mason Station.
Sorry, Aaron, can you speak up a little higher with that, just on it?
All right.
It's harder to hear you.
Birch Point,
Yeah,
Yes, in terms of the Ferry Road property, I know that back in November, you took the pause and put together a group. It was Bill Maloney at the time, and Elisa and Aaron, and I believe Dennis and the town attorney. From looking at minutes and department reports, I feel like I've only seen that group has met once. What is happening with that group? Where does the RFP stand? Where does all of that pause? Where are we?
so we've met probably about 3 times now.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, and before you go, I am sorry, I just looked at the map. I think I was wrong, I was looking at several properties before, that doesn't apply against Borough, I was incorrect. So, on the last one.
Okay. All right, like I said earlier in the previous, when I was explaining the Old Ferry Road property, we needed to do the appraisal. We decided as a committee that we really needed to have a conductor of real estate appraisal, so I developed an RFP and we hired an appraisal firm. So that's one of the things that's sort of a hold up here. And so that's where we stand on that property in terms of we're waiting to get an appraisal so we can figure out if there's any equity in the property that we might have to return. And then the other part of it is we're still working on the development of the RFP for the development proposal. So that's been sort of the hold up. The other part of it was the pull up has been the wetlands inventory. Decided that we need to get that done. And yeah, so.
Do you have any date for the RFP?
Well, I think, our goal, I think, is to have something in 2 months, possibly, or whenever the appraisal's done. So I think the contractor, that's doing the appraisal, he said 2 months. So I think that's our goal.
Yes, Marty?
Just for clarification, I believe the procedure you're taking is for the sale of town property is required by law. Is that correct?
Yes, this is tax acquired property and it's town, it's town property.
Just
I mean,
so
when it's-
everybody understands that.
Yeah, particularly when it's tax acquired property, there are multiple more steps that you have to go through as opposed to not being tax acquired. So that's what they've been working on initially. Then once they get the appraisal, then they can work on the actual RFP for proposal.
First point. This is not Mason Station, these are the tax acquired properties that now owns on Birch Point, next to Mason Station. If you look at this map here, all the red properties that is owned by Mason Station LLC, lot 81. The green is owned by Peregrine Turbine, and the blue is owned by the town. That is tax acquired property. The gray is owned by CMP, and that's the substation. The work that's being done on this property is great. We completed a brownfield cleanup on the ash pond. We're in the process of cleaning up the north point. So the ash ponds are the blue right underneath the gray. We look, it's the ash pond right here. This is the north point right here. And we have a grant through MCOG to do one further brownfield site investigation. There were some test pits. When they were doing initial phase 1 and 2. It had some little regular readings, and that was right here. So we're doing some further investigation here. We also have the appraisal that's being is ongoing on the property. Once again, the same time frame on this. But one of the things that makes this really complicated, see here, is the roads and the paper streets are right now owned by Mason Station LLC. So we'll go to the next step. As I stated right here, all the common lots, and the roads are owned by lot 81. The developer question environmental mine, he's very open with questions and meeting people. He's working on taking ownership of the property. He's working with the DEP on a sediment sampling program. And once he has that sampling program complete, he feels like he'll be, depending on what the reads on that, he'll be ready to make a decision. His option to purchase the property expires at the end of August. The current owners of the property are looking to get rid of it. They're not very interested in it anymore. And so I think they're really working closely with Ryan to help them take ownership. What's interested in being developed there right now are full service marina, boatyard, Chandler, so it's right, Chandler.
Candlery.
Thank you. With commercial, fishing access, hotel, restaurant and retail in the power plant. And low impact energy generation and battery storage. So that's all I have. There's one other thing that kind of just developed as of Friday. The Wiscasset Marketplace is under new ownership and it's locally owned. It's no longer out of state owned. I met with the new owner and he's really looking forward to making some investments in that property.
That's the development across the street from Shaw's.
Yeah, sorry. Good. So I think that's good news.
Yes.
Hi, Aaron, I have a really quick question. So last fall, there was quite a lot of discussion at the planning board level about a proposal to develop 11 or 12 lots on Young's Point. And I'm wondering if that's come across your desk or is that a meeting with the planning board? Because we haven't heard anything about that in many months.
That, I mean, I'm not familiar with the project. But I know that it's sort of, my understanding it's kind of a lot about this problem.
Just curious. Your presentation was so comprehensive and there was no mention of that, so that's what made me wonder what was going on.
Thank you. Thank you. And final item, well, next to the final item of business, we're gonna have a discussion regarding the release of the full unredacted documents regarding the data center.
So Heather, this is something that you've asked to be placed on the agenda?
Yeah, it's our lawyer here. Is the town attorney here?
No, I didn't understand that you wanted her to be here.
Yeah.
Because you had said you wanted her at the board, and then you said you wanted to contact her yourself. That was the last word I had.
No,
I'm quite certain that was the last word I had. Wanted to- You rescinded your request to have her at the board, and have requested to contact her yourself.
I'm not sure what you're referring to, contacting her myself, but I think we might be talking about two different items. I was actually very interested in having her here for this discussion.
So what do you want to do?
Well, I'm kind of pinched in a circumstance here. I disagree with the principle of NDAs being used by a democratic body. There's pressure to have a meeting with Aaron to find out what is covered under the NDA and everything about the data center deal. But I've said that I don't intend to be bound by a non-disclosure agreement.
Then you will not receive any information.
So, well, and so then that raises another issue where we have a sitting board member who doesn't know the full business of the board in town, and that's why I needed the lawyer. And so I actually was, in my email, I said I'd like to invoke my right to call on the lawyer. So
So I just said, you originally asked, have her at the meeting, And then you said you rescinded that request and wanted to just talk to her yourself.
No, the request that I rescinded was to ask the full board to vote on whether or not to bring her in. Because originally I asked about about releasing all the documents, unredacted. And your comments, according to Dennis, was that the NDA expired on August 19th, so that wasn't necessary. So then I asked if that decision could be made by the full board. And then in further conversation, that request was also not immediately accepted, so the final request was to, according to our board procedures, any one of us can call on the attorney. So that's where I ended up asking, was to rescind my request for the full board to ask for the attorney, and I just asked for the attorney.
So I think that was not understood, that you wish to have the attorney here. I think the understanding was that you were going to talk to the attorney. So the attorney can explain to you how an NDA works and how you are bound by it as a representative of the town, and how unilaterally one party cannot make the decision to breach that NDA without incurring damages to the town.
Correct.
And if you wish to have that conversation, I would suggest that you do so.
Well, so what I'd like to do now then, in that case, is for Aaron to present everything he can present to us that doesn't come under that NDA.
He can present nothing.
What do you mean you can present nothing?
There is nothing to present that is not covered by the NDA, that has not already been released.
We've been told before that the only thing covered by the NDA is the name of the developer.
There are,
So, may I?
sure.
So the NDA covers one tranche of things. There are carve-outs for you found in other statutes that make other documents confidential, and they will always be confidential. So Title V under the Administrative Procedures Act has some carve-outs that say these documents are confidential. They're not subject to FOIA. They're always going to be confidential. And the same with Title X, which deals with commerce and industry. So there may be some documents, and I'm not sure because we haven't gone through them all.
Working with the town attorney on this.
So we're currently working with the town attorney on reviewing everything that we have and what can be released and what can't be released. And there may be, and I don't know if we actually have anything, because this thing never really got any feet anyways. There may be some documents that just aren't going to be released because the law says they can't.
So are we still pursuing the data center, Wisconsin?
There is no pursuing, there has never been a pursuing.
There have been no conversations with anybody about building a data center since November.
Actually, there's a video of such a conversation at the Lincoln County Commission's meeting on September 16th of 2025, where people in this room argued very strongly that the housing development grant be changed so that we can pursue building a data center.
So it was not.
So that's not consistent with what was just said here.
It is not so that we could pursue it, it's so that we could learn more and see if that was a viable option for the economic growth of this town. There's no, do you see the difference?
Well, that's a
in-
characterization, and I don't agree with that characterization about you.
Okay.
I just watched it again yesterday.
May I make a statement? I would like to make a statement for the official record. When the town was approached by a party interested in the possibility of developing a data center in Wiscasset, the select board met with them just as we would with any party interested in developing town-owned property. There was a single meeting. No proposal was presented, no commitments were made, and no decisions were made. As everyone should know, votes cannot be taken in executive session. Any action by the select board must occur in public. At the conclusion of that meeting, the interested party indicated they would explore whether such a project was even feasible, including discussions with CMP, and would return if they wished to present a formal proposal. That proposal step never materialized. For the record, the board has not had any discussions about a data center since the matter was discussed publicly last fall, and we have not heard from the interested party since then either. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's correct.
The NDA was signed not to authorize a project or allow decisions to be made in secret. I have said repeatedly over the last 10 months that if a proposal was ever submitted, it would have been treated as a public matter, and I stand by that statement. The NDA itself, as mentioned, becomes public next month, and releasing it before then would violate its terms. And it's my understanding we have no interest in extending that, and we have not heard from the interested party in extending it either. So it expires and becomes public. I understand why data centers have raised concerns in communities across the country, particularly where public trusts have been damaged by poor processes. However, that is not what occurred here. We have had no secret negotiations, no hidden proposals, no wool being pulled over people's eyes, and no decisions made outside of public view. The board simply did what it was elected to do, seek information before deciding whether an idea deserves further consideration. Declining to learn more before dismissing a potential development would not have been responsible. I also want to address claims regarding the ARPA funds. At no point did the board discuss using those funds for any other purpose other than those for which they were awarded, unless the county changed that. While I cannot discuss what was said in executive session, I can state that the accusation that there was even any suggestion of the misuse of funds is unequivocally false. I have not responded to many of these false accusations in the past because I did not want to lend them credibility. However, when the integrity and the ethics of the previous board and its members are called into question, including myself, it is important to respond. Speaking for myself, I have never misled the public. I have never advocated for the improper use of public funds, and over the last 6 years, I have consistently worked to increase transparency, expand public access to meetings and information, and ensure that the public has every opportunity to participate in decisions that affect this town. I will continue to make decisions based on what I believe is in the best interest of the people of Wiscasset, and I will continue to do so openly and transparently as I have always done. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
I would
Thank you.
highly concur with your summation of the events.
Yeah, I would say I would agree with that as well, but I would just like to add from an email from you to the Westport Select Board. You said many early discussions were held during executive session and are covered by non-disclosure agreements with the developer. Those protections are common in the preliminary stages of exploration and help ensure that misinformation does not spread before there are details to share. I would argue that you accomplished the opposite by not being fully transparent from the beginning with the public. So, what I would like to ask for, is to meet with the attorney and Aaron at the same time, so I can find out what is in the material that, is not available to the public at this point, but I'd like the attorney present when I do that.
You can arrange for that.
Sure, I can arrange that.
Okay.
So,
Pam?
yeah, so I would suggest that we have the attorney, have that discussion with the entire board at the next open meeting, so to be sure that we are all getting the same information at the same time, and that the public are also hearing what a non-disclosure is and what happens when it expires and all of that information. I think having one or two selectmen sit through a discussion with the attorney is not gonna be educational for the public or for the rest of the board.
So.
Or both.
So that is fine, but there will be no review of documents at that time.
No,
Right.
Yeah.
I'm clarifying.
yeah, no, just
In
why,
any public
why,
forum.
yeah, why was a non-disclosure signed? What does that mean? When does it expire? What does that mean? And the whole thing. I just think, I think there's a lot of confusion in town about what that non-disclosure document is, what information is in it, and of course, you wait a month and you can read the whole dang thing, so,
They can read everything except the names right now.
yeah, exactly. The only thing that's non-disclosed is the name of the person that talked to us. So, that's it.
Well, and the many discussions in executive session, which we don't have a record of.
Okay, apparently that was the wrong word to use.
Yeah, there
Many
were-
meaning it was a long meeting, like,
Yeah, many discussions in one meeting, there was
One
there was a lot of talk.
Well, and then there was the Lincoln County, we don't have to. Essentially, what you're asking for now is what I was hoping for to happen tonight, so if that can happen at our next meeting, that would be good.
I think that's what I'm doing.
Yes.
I would still recommend that you meet with the attorney and review what we have here. Just so you're completely up to snuff with where these three people are.
No, I think that's good.
So I would still recommend you go ahead and do that.
Cassie's already reviewed.
Cassie's already
Oh,
done it, so
I
she's,
I will probably join them. Or I'm fully up to speed.
so I can arrange for that, and for her to be here next week. Fortunately, she lives in Denver, right?
Yes. Or Newcastle. So are there any additional items
On there.
for what you're concerned about for your item that you put on the agenda?
No, I think we've reached a point now, that's as far as we can go now.
Okay. So our next item of business is the town manager's report. Are there any comments, questions, etc.? Hearing none. Is there any other board business? None that I know of? Nope. Then can I get a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn. Second.